Hi everyone, welcome back to this session of PMP drag and drop questions, perfect for preparing for your PMP exam. We go into a whole wide range of things, including the definition of things, the order and processes of things in project management, and scenarios and problem solving. You'll probably see between 2 and 10 drag and drop questions on your exam, but the real power of this session is getting up to speed on those definitions and just really as a last minute review before your exam. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to prepare. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun, and I'll make this available in my course on Udemy, which is currently the highest rated course on Udemy, which is just absolutely wonderful. Let's get right into these questions. And wow, a nice tricky one to start off with, our business organizational matrix. Do you remember this from the PMBOK guide or looking at that? So let's start from the top. Resource availability is high, so we have a high access to resources. The project budget is managed by the project manager. So our next one is moderate to high for resource availability. The total one is PMO. So PMO is always at the top. That's the strongest matrix. So the next one is going to be just a normal, strong matrix, organizational matrix. That's where we still have quite a lot of control, but resource availability is only moderate to high. Now we get into the weak matrices, which is basically when things are managed by the function or the receiving manager. Or you might be doing a process improvement within your team, for example. Resource availability is low. Budget is managed by the functional manager. Now, I think the lowest one that we have here is organic. So remember this, in between we've got all the different matrices, matrix strong, matrix weak. That's managed by the functional manager. And then right at the bottom, we've got the budget being managed by the owner or the operator instead of the PMO. Let's quickly check this and see how we go. Wonderful stuff that's come through. Process groups, a practice guide on page 46 if you want to check that out for yourself. A bit of a tricky one to start off with, but let's see what else we have. Leadership styles, excellent. Okay, and we're definitely going to see some stuff around leadership and conflict on the exam. The project manager takes a hands-off approach and allows the team to make their own decisions. That's laissez-faire leadership. If they focus on others' growth, learning, development, autonomy, and well-being, do you know this one? That's our servant leader. We're helping the team grow. We're leading by serving the team. Inspirational motivation. Now, these can be tricky, but inspirational is transformational leadership. And the reason why I select that is because at the very end here, charismatic, that matches up with high energy, self-confident, and they hold strong convictions. That is the definition of charismatic leader. Let's quickly check. And thank goodness we got those correct. Practice guide, the process groups practice guide, page 61 under leadership styles, if you want to check that out. Oh, okay, precedence diagramming method. Ah, this is good. All right, so start to start, finish to start. Do you remember all these ones? But do we remember what they mean? And here's a trick for figuring these out, actually. The second one cannot start before the first one has started. And here, the second one cannot finish before the first one has finished. So it's in order. The second one can't finish before the first one can't finish, has finished. So knowing that, let's do this. Should be pretty easy. Let's have a look. The next activity cannot start, so we've got two starts here, until the previous activity has finished. So finish to start. The next activity cannot start until the previous activity has started. That's our start to start. The next activity cannot finish until the previous activity has finished. That's finish to finish. And the next activity cannot finish until the previous activity has started. Now, isn't that easy once you know that little trick? I think that's fantastic. Let's double check. And thank goodness we got that correct. The Process Groups Practice Guide 2023, page 284, under Precedence Diagramming Method. Very, very handy to know. All right, team motivation. Oh, I love this stuff. Now this is my favorite stuff, actually. Let's see what we've got. The project work is expanding to fit the time allotted to it. That one is our Parkinson's Law, where work expands to fit the time allotted to it. The team waits until the last minute. Does that sound familiar? Maybe when we were at school and we were finishing a project and we didn't do it until the night before. That's our student syndrome. The functional manager, they motivate people with things like money, bonuses, and power. These things are external to us, so it's extrinsic motivation. Your team finds motivation in the work itself through a strong sense of purpose. It's internal, so it's intrinsic motivation. And lastly, there is not a smooth transition between tasks or team members. They're transitioning, but they are dropping the baton, just like in a baton race, like you see at the Olympics. Let's double check and make sure we are correct, and things are going very, very well. Check page 96 in the Process Group's practice guide under motivation of staff, if you want to look at that. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay, hey, and this one's also a really good one. So Myers-Briggs, you'll probably see a Myers-Briggs question on the exam, but it's more around team personality assessments. So we just want to sometimes adjust our approach to match the personality of the people that we're dealing with. And that shows that we have emotional intelligence. So it's part of emotional intelligence. Now, this is not too hard. Once you know this, it's not too hard. So if we're drawing energy from solitary activities, we are introverted. We're doing them ourselves. But if we draw energy from social interaction and external activities, we're extroverted, so we're outgoing. But if we prefer focusing on concrete facts, details, and present realities, we are using our senses because we're sensing those current facts and realities. But if we have patterns, possibilities, and all sorts of ideas, we are using our intuition out there. Now, if we make logical analysis and lots of thinking, we're doing lots of analysis. That is our thinking, or T. If James makes decisions based on personal values, they're feeling those values, emotions and everything else. That's what they're feeling. And lastly, if you prefer flexible, adaptable, or a spontaneous approach, you can perceive lots of different approaches, lots of different things. And lastly, if you've got an organized or planned or structured approach to life, you are judging your way forward. So you're like a judge, very straightforward and planned and organized. And all of that to say, let's hope we got that correct. And there we are. And you can find that at Myers-Briggs on Wikipedia. You can see that there. Very, very easy. Nice way to see all of those different Myers-Briggs personality profiles. Okay. All right. And more organizational management. Wow, this is good. Okay. So lots of leadership. This is going to be fun. The team's needs are met from the bottom to the top, from safety to belonging to self-actualization. If you know that one, that is that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There it is. Couldn't quite find it. The team takes pride in their work and sees setbacks as a positive challenge. This is where we've got McGregor's theory X and Y. Now which one was which? Gosh, this might actually trip me up. I think the Y is when we see it as a positive challenge, and the X is when the team is lazy and avoids work, and we have to take a more hands-on, authoritarian management style. So we start off not as good, and we get to better. So X, Y, Z. It goes in order. We're getting better over time. I'm going to go with that anyway. Hertzberg's theory of motivation. That's when we have hygiene factors such as job security and fairness of salary. And then we have motivational factors such as belonging and work that really means something to us. So fingers crossed, let's make sure and have a look. And yes, thank goodness we got that one correct. So remember that McGregor's theory X and Y. That's under motivational models on page 158 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. And we're getting through this bunch of questions, nearly there. Oh, I love this one. Tuckman's ladder, one of my favorites. Now, can you remember the order of this one? It's when we come together as a team, and the order is, it's a beautiful rhyme. Forming, actually, let's just do this as we go. Forming, storming, because we're coming together and we're having a little bit of conflict as we figure everything out. Then we become norming, we get to a normal way of work. And once we work through all of our conflicts, we start to get through performing, where we work together really well as a team. And at the end of our project, we adjourn So we finish and leave, and we are adjourning in the project. And that's the one there, page 166, Tuckman's Ladder in the PMBOK Guide, 7th edition. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. All right, who does what on a project? If Michael elicits requirements with the customer and monitors business value, he is a business analyst. But if Penny oversees and coordinates multiple projects, do you remember this one? This is our program manager. Incidentally, program managers get a 30% pay rise according to PMI and their salary report. So check out that video if you haven't already. Very, very interesting stuff. And PMP holders also have a 30% higher increase in pay than non-PMP holders, which is pretty cool. Now, if you're a manager responsible for a particular area of the organization, you're responsible for that function, a functional manager. And if you're responsible for the day-to-day workings of the company, those are the operations of the company. So you're an operational manager. And we got those right. Fantastic stuff. Page 324 and page 338 under definitions in the process group's practice guide. Let's get right into the next one, second last one in this little section. And these look absolutely fantastic. Some scope issues here. Oh, I love these. Okay, the approved version of a scope statement, the work breakdown structure, and its associated WBS dictionary. That is our scope baseline. And we might even have some work packages listed in there as well. Going above and beyond in the scope when it's not required, that is gold plating. We're adding gold to the plate. It's not really actually made of gold. We're just gold plating it. We didn't have to do it. Uncontrolled increase in scope. Let's say our stakeholders are requesting extra features. Now the scope is creeping out of control. A description of the project and the project scope and major deliverables. That's going to be our scope statement. That's usually it can be just a sentence, really, describing what the project is going to do. Sometimes a high-level features list as well. And lastly, the launch date is pushed out because our stakeholder kept adding features. That's going to be done drift. And let's check this out. Let's hope we are correct. Looking absolutely fantastic. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition, if you want to check this out for yourself, page 83 under Managing Requirements. You'll probably find a lot of this under Scope in the Process Group's Practice Guide as well. Last one in this little section. You guys have done an amazing job. Agile frameworks. Oh, now you're definitely going to get something around Agile frameworks. And we get some funny ones out here. They're not all just under the banner of Agile. Some of these frameworks are very different, but they all do very much the same thing. So that's a clue for us. Now the organization applies Scrum, ways of working to programs and portfolios. So Scrum, that is a tip for us. Large scale Scrum, they do it only when necessary. In fact, they recommend that you don't use a scaling method because it's sort of anti-agile, actually, for small teams we want for agile. The company focuses on organizing project teams around value streams. Now, if you remember, or if you've had some good instruction, value streams come from the Toyota Production System, or Lean, and SAFe, or the Scaled Agile Framework, has actually taken that idea of value streams. And so we organize our projects around value streams. It's how an item is delivered from customer order to customer delivery, and then all of the work that happens in between. A small team uses a framework that emphasizes iterative development, real customer involvement, and shared code. That's our extreme programming. We always share the code in extreme programming. Anyone can touch any part of the code at any time so that everyone learns, and that's a nice way to do it. That leaves us with DSDM, or Dynamic Systems Delivery Method. Now the thing with this one is it always has that constraint-driven approach. If you remember our constraint triangle with our scope, our cost, and actually let's make this one the schedule, because these two items down here are fixed. That's constraint-driven delivery. Let's just double check and see if we've got this correct, and we have, and that's Agile Practice Guide, page 111, under scaling frameworks, and you've done another little section of 20 drag and drop questions on your way to passing the PMP exam. Wonderful practice. You're doing an amazing job. It takes dedication and hard work to pass the PMP, but I know you can do it, and you're definitely doing the right thing. Keep going. I believe in you. I'll see you in the next video.